Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Kabir Considers. In this video, we're going to react to the worst thing about every generation. So, boomers complain about Gen Z complain about boomers, millennials complain about Gen X, and vice versa. It's just, every generation just seems to point the finger at some other generation. And there probably is, an element of truth to some of the complaints, but every generation has its faults. There's no generation that was just purely amazing at everything. So yeah, it's going to be fun just to hear, what the biggest critiques are of each generation.
Generations of humanity have come and gone for the last 2,000 years, leaving their own personal impacts on it. There was the generation that created wheels, the generation that created cars, and recently, the generation that created mukbangs.
What the? What is that? Mushrooms?
Whether born in the 1200s or 2000s, every generation has their impact they create onto society. And today I want to run through every generation's most terrible, garbage, and trash faults left onto this world. I'm mainly going to be talking from a American and Western perspective because that's simply what I know. And let's start off with none other than boomers. Boomers are people born from 1946 to 1964. Damn! Sorry, it's just reflexes, my bad. And to a lot of people watching this, they're probably your grandparents or even great-grandparents if they make it that long. But y'all already know that. Let's just start off with the one that's just most clear as day. Old, traditional mindsets. Yeah, let's just say that boomers didn't really grow up in the most inclusive of times. We all know this for a fact, and it doesn't really take much to show when you talk to someone that's a boomer. You speak to them and they speak with the most outdated and out-of-pocket language that hasn't been used since those times. I know for a fact we all have that older family member that when you hear them speak, you just gotta think, thank God they ain't born in this generation. Because they would be canceled with the swiftness and have every single job opportunity ruined for them for life. Like, they would actually have zero chance of holding a future career just off of the tweets they would make. And it's not like I'm expecting them to be updated with Webster's dictionary of every inclusive, non-gender conforming hurting terminology. But my nigga, it's the 21st century and you're still saying colored people. Let it go, little bro. And when you confront them about it, they just go, well, sorry, I'm not always updated with you young people's sensitive doohickey terms. And I think it's because a lot of them have grown up with this mindset being the norm and normal for so long that they don't want to change it at this point. Like, you can tell boomers are stubborn just by looking at politics. Politics is basically a nursing home at this point. All they have to do is change the logo of the White House to say nursing home. The last two presidents have been absolute depleting fossils, and everyone else in that shit is too. You got niggas freezing up on stage like Eminem did an 8 Mile. There needs to be a point when the younger generations step in there and tell them it's time for a nursing home. They have no choice. And when I say traditional mindset, people immediately assume I'm talking about the husband and housewife thing. But no, I have no problems with anyone who wants to do that. It's 100% your choice. And if it works no matter the generation. Boomers will also complain about how the younger generations aren't already financially set, talking about back when I grew up, I got married at 19 and had a house by 22. Why aren't you guys doing the same thing? Like, my nigga, back in your day, you could buy a 5-cent candy bar and save up $50,000 to $70,000 for an average house. Let's see how much the average priced home in the United States of America costs now. Oh. Yeah, I don't think this is getting paid off with a McDonald's salary, bro. And it's not like they even help the younger generations after this. Everything boomers have done for the economy has been for them. Like, how many old people have y'all seen on the road randomly with the most luxurious convertible car? Meanwhile, everyone else is kind of thugging it out and taking the pain. But I think that's enough of boomers. Let's move on to the next one, which is Gen X.
I've got no problem with boomers at all. I just want them to, understand that young people face a whole, it's harder. It is. It's harder for younger people, I will say. Just to get a house, to just get, become independent in life. Everything is more expensive, more competitive It just is. It's fact. It's fact.
Gen X are people born from 1965 to 1980. And for a lot of people watching this is probably the generation where your parents were born and aunts and uncles, etc. But starting off the rip, I think a lot of people in Gen X kept the same old mindset that boomers had. Which kind of makes sense. I mean, a lot of people pick up mindset from their parents and grandparents. But I don't know. I feel like younger generations actually prove this wrong. There is such a divide between Gen Z and millennials versus their parents. There really is so many people in Gen Z that are so mismatched with their parents' mindset, you would think they were born 100 years apart. Gen X also has a super terrible work mindset. Like, I 100% understand it's good to work hard and be working towards something always and achieving things, but holy you can at least give yourself some time to breathe and enjoy the fruits of your labor. It's like some of them got a David Goggins motivation speech on loop 24/7. Them niggas would rather die at work surrounded by coworkers than die around their family. There's so many Gen X people that will complain about the younger generation's work habits and be like, I've been working 7 days a week, 80 hours a week for the last 15 years of my life, and y'all have the audacity to complain? Like, yes, my nigga, I am complaining. I don't want to do that. I want to enjoy life with family and friends. I got a solid 80 to 90 years of my life, my guy. Like, just because you were
like, do we have to like just work endlessly? Like, is that what life is? Just non-stop work? Like, I'm a hard worker. I think I am anyway, but at some point, can't you just enjoy yourself a little bit?
We're taught to do this as the norm back then doesn't still make it okay. I personally think it's just weird to them that the younger generations decided to not do it and try to change that attitude at least. It's also annoying that they aren't the most tech savvy people. And obviously boomers are the same way, but most of the people running companies and shit now are Gen X. So they have to be caught up with the technology to keep up with the times, but they're just not there and are absolutely stubborn about it too. It's like they're too skeptical to have anyone else younger help them with it. Their imaginary fear is they hire someone younger, have them help them. The younger person accidentally falls asleep on the job watching Ice Spice twerk compilations, and the company's servers explode. And Gen X was also the last generation to at least have a chance of getting a house. And that's not even their fault. But they still have the mindset that if you just work hard, you'll eventually be able to live the American dream just like they did. And looking at the stats now, yeah, that's not happening anytime soon. But that's enough of Gen X. Let's move on to the next one, which is Millennials. Millennials are people born between the years of 1981 and 1996.
That's
and
me.
The one thing I personally hate for Millennials is them always shitting on Gen Z for everything.
I don't shit on Gen Z at all. We get on real well.
Now, don't get me wrong, Gen Z isn't rainbow and sunshines with the atrocities we've already committed as a generation, but it's weird to me when someone that is a millennial shits on Gen Z all the time even though they experience the same bias. Yeah, for y'all that don't know, when millennials were young like Gen Z is now, the older generations thought they were the end of humanity, saying that they were too lazy, too overbearing, not trying hard enough. So when I see some millennials doing the same thing they hated back to Gen Z, it throws me off a little bit. Like, damn bro, I thought we were supposed to be on the same side. What happened? Millennials also love to dick ride the 90s and act like there's 50 years worth of differences between the 1990s.
That video, he's playing with the balls.
90s and 2000s. They think it's like going from caveman times to World War I. When in reality, the 2000s had the same amazing childhood shows and music, and even the 2010s does. But it's like they just close off their ears and don't want to hear that good media was still made after the 2000s. A lot of millennials also think Gen Z didn't grow up outside at all and think we were just shut in immediately for our entire life. Meanwhile, when I was a kid, I was playing outside every day with my neighbors. We would all gather around the green electrical box thing, playing tag, manhunt, jump rope, hopscotch, all the good stuff. I think that's definitely going to be the Coco Melon Gen Alpha kids. Like, they definitely grown up isolated as from childhood to adulthood. A lot of millennials are also...
Yeah, the iPad kids. I mean, look, there's nothing wrong with letting your kid play on an iPad for a short time, but I mean, like, when it's just hours and hours and hours, like, that's not got to be good for their brains. Like, it can't be.
Also known for choosing the dumbass degrees they have. You have people picking the most artsy, passionate degrees, but not the shit that actually makes money. Which is something Gen Z knows. Like, you gotta get some shit dealing with STEM or go to a trade school or you're probably gonna be broke. And to be fair, they still thought at the time a degree would always hold a high value forever and guarantee you a job. It's also the worst when millennials try so hard to fit in with Gen Z and the new social media culture. Like, they'll say the slang and trend words, but not in the exact way. It'll go something like, what? Whoops, not me dropping my pen. No cap, I've gotta watch my steps. I just got this huge W promotion at my job. How dank is that? God, man, I'm on a roll. Sometimes you just gotta let it go a bit, alright? But that's enough of millennials. Let's move on to the next one, which is Gen Z. The part you've all been waiting for. The boomers have been sitting in the back with the rocking chairs, shaking their dentures in delight. Gen X getting ready to shit on their kids more than they already do. And millennials finally ready to not face all the hate. So let's start off with the one that every entire person, including Gen Z, is going to agree with. Being soft. It's no lie that we live in the single-handedly most generation when it comes to anything. It doesn't matter who you are, what you say, what you do, someone will be offended. Yep. And don't get me wrong, okay? Millennials...
I feel like a boomer saying this. But I will say that some of the Gen Z people that I've met, some are just like, where's the resilience? Like, I'm sorry, to make it in life, unless you've got very wealthy parents who are going to just completely set you up so that you don't have to ever get a job, you need to have some level of like resilience and grit and determination and a bit of a thick skin. Like, some of them get upset over the most ridiculous, trivial stuff. You wouldn't even believe it.
Those are pretty soft and similar to Gen Z, but they would be at, let's say, the Empire State Building of being offended. And Gen Z is on Mars when it comes to being offended by shit. The mere fact that every single creator is terminally scared of being canceled for saying anything out of turn is ridiculous. You got niggas canceling literal comedians whose job it is to make fun of things. And even if you do something by accident, there's no learning because you'll simply get banned, which solves nothing and just makes everything 10 times worse. We also gotta mention Gen Z's amazing and wonderful attention spans. You can't emphasize enough how much Gen Z's dopamine receptors have been absolutely fried. No one can focus on a single task for more than 10 minutes without feeling the urge to make sure their phone is in their pocket and opening TikTok. And the fact that not only is short videos not enough to appease our attention span, that we have to add another video under the video in case if we get bored watching the video on top. Really, who made
Is that why they do that? I've noticed that happening. Like TikTok and Instagram and stuff. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy both. I do. There's a lot of funny stuff on there. But it is, if you use it too much, it will literally cook your attention span. Like, it's not good for like long-term attention and things like that.
This shit up. Even the word yapping is an example of this. I've seen niggas comment yapping under MLK's speech. Y'all really have no Gen Z will also get mad at boomers for falling for a dumbass Facebook conspiracy theory. Meanwhile, y'all will fall for a random Twitter account with no news backing tweeting out that a celebrity died 2 minutes ago. It's crazy how fast we just spread things around without factually checking if it's true. And Gen Z 100% has the means to do it. We were born with the internet in the palm of our hand. This is another no-brainer, but the amount of attention seekers in Gen Z has triumphed every single other generation combined. It's 100% because of the internet and how fast things spread, but it's put a bad name on everyone else that's normal. Like, a boomer will see one of y'all harass a random lady on the street daily for clout. No wonder they think we're useless. It's probably their one Facebook post they see before hitting a 16-hour-old person nap. Another thing is weird styles, and it's not like other generations didn't have weird styles, but the birth of the word aesthetic took it to another level. Y'all will make anything an aesthetic. I've seen aesthetics from being homeless, aesthetics just glorifying actual gore, and aesthetics glorifying mental illness, which only works with Gen Z because we grew up with the internet and online groups. But I could only imagine if these kids got sent back in time and how much they would get bullied for this shit. That fake Bart Simpson depression you got would turn into a real depression real quick. And I'm imagining when Gen Z grows up and projects this on their own kids. Also, we have the worst internet challenges and trends to even exist. Like, I don't even know how it got to this point. Millennials had what? Planking and the cinnamon challenge as their most dangerous things? We've got the blackout challenge, the lick a toilet seat challenge, and whatever random thing people come up with to do. Like, I really miss when the internet had positive challenges. When's the last time we had a...
Yeah, like on TikTok, people used to dance on there. Do you remember that? Like, people used to just dance. Now it's all like dark and moody stuff. And like how the world's gonna end tomorrow.
Ice bucket challenge or something. But wrapping things up, every generation, whether old or new, is going to have their impact felt for centuries to come. And I know I shit on every generation here combined, but don't get me wrong, most people are pretty normal and good regardless of when they were born. Every generation has things they've done that have helped the world in some way, and I made sure to leave this message at the end just to see which generation will get triggered the most in the comments before finishing the video. Follow me on Twitter.
Great video. He was hilarious. I really, really enjoyed that. I think largely he's very accurate in what he said, and it didn't seem like he had any biases towards other generations. He's clearly from Gen Z, and he straight out the gate said Gen Z, called them out on the biggest thing that we, people that aren't from Gen Z call them out on, being super sensitive. Not all of them are. Like, don't get me wrong. I've got cousins who are Gen Z who are, very, hardworking, resilient people. But I do think there's a disproportionate amount of Gen Z that get offended about things that are just not offensive. Like, come on. Like, I get that we have to be inclusive, and don't get me wrong, as a minority, yeah, absolutely, we should be inclusive and stuff. But, like getting triggered because, somebody picked up a twig and snapped it in half, and I've seen this before, is just absurd. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.